A very good morning, my dear students. So far in bacterial infection, we have seen about tuberculosis, leprosy. In our last class, we have seen about the syphilis. Today, I will be continuing the bacterial infection, that is actinomycosis and Noma. So first, I will start off with actinomycosis. Actinomycosis is a chronic granulomatous suppurative and fibrosing disease caused by anaerobic or microaerophilic gram-positive non-acid-fast branch filamentous bacteria. The most commonly isolated organism is Actinomyces israeli. The Actinomyces bovis produce lumpy jaw in cattle, but it is not a pathogen in human. Now we'll see the clinical features of actinomycosis. Actinomycosis may be either an acute, rapidly progressing infection or a chronic, slowly spreading lesion that is associated with fibrosis. In this, males are affected more commonly than females. It appears to be an endogenous infection and not communicable. It does not appear to be an opportunistic infection in a situation of a depressed cell-mediated immunity. Actinomycetes is a common inhabitant of the oral cavity. Thus, the organism may be cultured from a carious teeth, non-vital root canals, tonsillar crypts, dental plaque, calculus, gingival sulcus, and periodontal pockets. They are not highly invasive. Extracted socket, periodontal pocket, non-vital tooth, or mucosal abrasion may act as a portal entry of infection. Approximately 55% of cases of actinomycosis are diagnosed in cervicofacial region, whereas 25% of cases occurring in abdominal and pelvic region. 15% of cases is occurring in pulmonary system, and remaining 5% of case is occurring in skin or at a genitourinary region. First, we'll see about the cervicofacial actinomycosis. The cervicofacial actinomycosis is the most common form of this disease. The organism may enter the tissue through oral mucous membrane and may either remain localized in soft tissue or spread to involve salivary gland, bone, or even skin of face and neck, producing swelling and induration of the tissue. The soft tissue swelling develops into one or more abscesses which tend to discharge upon mucosal surface. The liberating pus containing the typical sulfur granules. The skin overlying the abscess is purplish red, which can be indurated and has a feel of wood or often fluctuant. The infection of the soft tissue may extend to involve maxilla or mandible, and it is called as actinomycotic osteomyelitis. The destructive lesion may occur within the bone or localized at the apex of one or more teeth and stimulate pulp related infection called as periapical granuloma or cyst. Now we'll see abdominal actinomycosis. Abdominal actinomycosis is an extremely serious form of the disease and carries a high mortality rate. The signs and symptoms are fever, chills, nausea, vomiting, and involvement of organs such as liver, spleen, and intestine. Now we'll see the pulmonary actinomycosis. Pulmonary actinomycosis produces fever and chills, and which is accompanied by productive cough and pleural pain. The usual pattern of this disease is the formation of abscess that tend to drain by the formation of sinus tract. If the pus from the abscess is examined on a clear glass slide, it shows the typical sulfur granules. These sulfur granules are colonies of organism which appears in a suppurative material as a tiny yellow grains. The another infection that produce this type of sulfur granule is botulomycosis. In this picture, you can see the colonies of organism. That blue arrow indicates the colonies of organism, that is the sulfur granule, and which is surrounded by the inflammatory cells. You can see a picture. It is a cytological picture of an actinomycosis, and it is stained using an Papanicolo and Giemsa stain. And this picture shows the colonies of actinomycosis with a radiating filament showing an intense basophilic staining. It also shows the occasional branching and were surrounded by a radiating hyaline eosinophilic material representing the Splendor Hopley phenomena. This arrow indicates the Splendor Hopley phenomena. If we take a smear of an actinomycosis and if we see under a microscope, we will see two important cytological findings in actinomycosis. One is sulfur granule, the other one is an Splendor Hopley phenomena. Now we'll see the histopathological features of actinomycosis. The lesion of actinomycosis is a granulomatous one showing a central abscess formation within which may be seen the colonies of microorganisms. These colonies appears to be the floating in a sea of polymorphonuclear leukocytes, often associated with multinucleated giant cells and macrophages, particularly around the periphery of the lesion. The individual colonies, which may appear round or lobulated, is made up of meshwork of filaments that stains with hematoxylin, but it shows eosinophilia of peripherally club-shaped end of filaments. This peculiar appearance of colonies with a peripheral radiating filaments can be termed as ray fungus. The tissue surrounding the lesion may exhibit fibrosis. Methenamine silver stain can demonstrate the organism better comparing to the hematoxylin and eosin. You can see a picture in the slide. It is stained using an hematoxylin and eosin, and it demonstrates a numerous inflammatory cell, and centrally you can see an actinomycosis. This picture shows the higher magnification of actinomycosis, and it demonstrates a club-shaped filament that form a radiating rosette pattern with hematoxylin and eosin stain. You can see the central core and it is stained by hematoxylin, whereas the peripheral portion you can see an eosinophilic stain. This peculiar appearance we are terming it as an ray fungus. This hematoxylin and eosin picture indicates a mass and which is surrounded by an inflammatory cells. That mass is called as the sulfur granules, and these sulfur granules can be round, oval or horseshoe shaped basophilic masses with a radiating fringe of eosinophilic clubs. That star indicates the sulfur granules, and at the periphery you can see some and radiating fringes of eosinophilic materials. This picture is stained using methenamine silver staining method, and it demonstrates filamentous bacteria and sulfur granules. In previous slide I have already mentioned that methenamine silver staining method is much better comparing to the hematoxylin and eosin staining method in identifying actinomycosis. In this picture you can see an arrow markings, and centrally you can see a star marking. This arrow and star marking indicates a filamentous bacteria in sulfur granules. Moving on to the treatment of actinomycosis, high doses of penicillin, tetracycline and erythromycin have been most frequently prescribed for actinomycosis. In addition to the antibiotic, surgical drainage of the abscess and excision of sinus tract is necessary for faster healing. So far we have seen in detail about actinomycosis. In actinomycosis, most commonly isolated organism is Actinomyces israelii. Then we have seen the clinical features of actinomycosis. Actinomycosis is an acute, rapidly progressing infection or chronic slowly spreading lesion associated with fibrosis. Males are affected more commonly in actinomycosis. Then we have seen the types of actinomycosis. It is divided into three types, that is cervicofacial type, abdominal type and pulmonary type. In cervicofacial type, the infection may involve the maxilla or mandible. If it involves that area, we will call it as an actinomycotic osteomyelitis. Then we have seen about the histopathological features of actinomycosis. In histopathology, it demonstrates a club-shaped filamentous with an radiating rosette pattern with the centrally stained hematoxylin and peripherally a radiating eosinophilic material is seen. So this appearance we will call it as a ray fungus appearance. The another important finding of an actinomycosis is sulfur granules. Comparing to hematoxylin and eosin stain, methenamine silver stain is very essential in identifying the actinomycosis. Then we have seen the treatment of actinomycosis. I guess you would have understand the entire thing about actinomycosis. The next bacterial lesion we'll see about Noma. Noma is also known as Cancromoris or gangrenous stomatitis. It is a rapidly spreading mutilating gangrenous stomatitis that occurs usually in debilitated or nutritionally deficient person associated with high morbidity and mortality. It is mainly seen in children, but it also found in adults in certain conditions. Noma appears to originate as a specific infection by Vincent organism and acute necrotizing gingivostomatitis, which is soon complicated by secondary invasion of many other microbial forms including streptococci, staphylococci, and diphtheria bacilli. Now we'll see the clinical features of Noma. Noma usually begins as a small ulcer of the gingival mucosa, which rapidly spreads and involves the surrounding tissue of the jaws, lips, and cheeks by gangrenous necrosis. The initial site is commonly in the area of stagnation around the fixed bridge of or crown. The overlying skin becomes inflamed, edematous, and finally necrotic, with the result that a line of demarcation develops between a healthy and a dead tissue, and the large mass of tissue may slough out, leaving the jaw exposed. The commencement of gangrene is denoted by the appearance of blackening of skin. The odor arises from the gangrenous tissue is extremely foul. The patient have a high temperature during the course of the disease, suffers secondary infection, and may die from pneumonia. This slide shows the clinical picture of Noma. Left side picture shows malnourished girl with an acute orofacial Noma. Right side picture you can see a malnourished boy with a Noma lesion involving the orofacial tissue, that is the lip, nose, and extending to the infraorbital region. This slide shows the intraoral aspect of Noma. It shows a necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis involving the maxillary right quadrant with the simultaneous ulcer of the adjacent cheek. Now we'll see the treatment and prognosis of Noma. The mortality rate of Noma is approximately 75% before the availability of antibiotics. Although the disease is still serious, the prognosis is considerably better if antibiotics are administered before the patient reaches the final stage. The immediate treatment of any existing malnutrition further improves the probability of saving the patient. With this, I'm completing my bacterial infection topic. I guess you have understood all the aspect of actinomycosis and Noma from today's class. See, the actinomycosis is most frequently asked 5-mark question, so read that question very well. If you have any doubts regarding today's class or from my previous bacterial infection topic, feel free to ask any questions. Thank you. Have a great day.